Hi, welcome to my channel. Now, I know that I just did my Friday reads, my second Friday reads. I did one last week and I just did my second one, and I'm hoping to do that every Friday to tell you what I read in the previous week and give you summaries or brief reviews on each book. Today, I'm going to do a wrap-up, and in this wrap-up video, basically I'll tell you what I read, who wrote it, when it was published or will be published, and also what I rated it. And that way, hopefully this video will be just a wee bit briefer than the Friday Reads videos. So to start with, let me tell you how many pages I read. And that is a total of 8,447 pages. And no, I read another book called Confidential today, which was 430 pages. So let's amend that total. The total amount of pages I read for the first half of February is 8,877. And I'll put that number on the screen most likely. This averages to 592 pages a day and 2 books a day. And that's basically what I've been reading. There's been days when I've read 1 book, and there's been days when I've read 3 books, so there goes the average. And the average is based on this, my spreadsheet. Okay, let's go. The first book I read was Slightly South of Simple by Kristy, Woodson, Harvey. This was published in 2017, April 25th, and I loved it. It's the first of a trilogy. It's women's fiction, by the way. I didn't write the genres down, so if I don't say the genre, it's only because I don't remember the genre. But this is women's fiction, and I gave it 5 stars. Right after that, I read the second book in the series, which is called The Secret to Southern Charm, also, of course, by Kristy Woodson Harvey. This was released on April 3rd of 2018. It was fantastic, and I also gave it 5 stars. Then I attempted to read Hearts of the Missing by Potenz. I'm sorry for the glare, but it's really sunny outside. Now, I could not finish this book, so basically I'm giving it a 1 on Goodreads, but I did not write a review. This is about a fictional Indian tribe, and it's mysterious omens and ghosts and spirits and murder, and it's pretty dark. I'm not going to read about ghosts and spirits. It's just not going to happen. So that's a DNF, or do not finish. The next book I read was The Windmill Cafe by Poppy Blake, and this was released on September 20th, and I gave it a 3.5 to 4 stars. Now, this is an omnibus of 3 stories that came out in 2018, and I had read the second story back in June, but I reread the whole book and wrote a review that encompassed all 3 books. And speaking of the word review, every book that I'm talking about here has been or will be reviewed on my blog. But the thing is, because there are so many and I was behind in January, and due to the fact that some of these books are not yet released, all the reviews are not on the blog yet. They're either scheduled for each day in February. I think I'm scheduled up until February 26th because I have 22, somewhere between 19 and 22 scheduled reviews on the blog. All you got to do is schedule it when you want it to go up, and so I have them scheduled, and then that encompasses books that are already out, and then for books that don't come out to April, May, or whatever, then those reviews are scheduled for those dates. So moving on to number 5, which is Hard to Kill, and actually the next 4 books here are going to be by Christina Dodd. The first one is Hard to Kill, which came out in August of 2018, and it was really good. It was the first book in a new series, and I gave it 4 stars. Then, by the way, I believe Hard to Kill was a novella. Then Dead Girl Running, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back. Hard to Kill, and I don't have notes on some of what I'm going to say, but I can remember part of it. Hard to Kill was 0.5. So, excuse me, yes, 0.5. So book 1 in the series is Dead Girl Running, Christina Dodd. And Dead Girl Running came out in April of 2018, and it's 4.5 stars. Now notice that Hard to Kill came out after, and she did that to give a background of the main character. Then the next book I read was another November, and I got this book from NetGalley, and it's Families and Other Enemies by Christina Dodd. And this came out January of this year, and I gave this one 4 stars. And it's because I got Family and Other Enemies that I went ahead and got the other books by her. The next book by her is What Doesn't Kill Her, a full-length book. This came out in February of this year. This was not on NetGalley or anywhere, and I either got it from my library or I bought it on Amazon. Now that, as I mentioned, came out in February, and I gave that one 5 stars. Okay, next we have To Wed an Heiress by Karen Ranney. I love that book. It came out in March. It's coming out on March 26th, so you won't see that review until then. Oh, but what you will see is a review for every single book here on Goodreads. So if anything appeals to you, just go to look for me on Goodreads, and boom, 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 you're going to see all of these reviews. And depending on what I've already told you about the scheduling aspect of it, you'll see them on my blog. All right, so that was To Wed an Heiress, 5 stars actually, if I didn't say that already. And back to the Kristy, Woodson, Harvey series, the books that I mentioned previously. That was by the way, that series is the Peachtree Bluff series. So the third book in that trilogy, the third and final book, is The Southern Side of Paradise, which won't be out until May 7th. But because those other books were so good, there was no way I could wait till May to read the third book. That if I couldn't wait to read it, then don't be surprised of the rating, because it's 5 stars. Then I read another 5-star book, and this is The Dare by Carol Wyer. This will be released on April 25th, and again, I gave it 5 stars. And by the way, The Dare is the third book in the Detective Natalie Ward series. If you're interested in checking out, maybe you can read books 1 and 2 so that by April you can get the third book. The next book I read was recommended to me by Frashan, and that is A Madness So Discreet by Mindy McGinnis. This is a YA, just a YA fictional story, or a YA historical fiction, actually. It wasn't great for me. I have 5 stars, but I don't remember that I gave it 5 stars. Maybe I did. No, I definitely did not give it 5 stars. So I don't know why I had that written down. I probably gave it 3.5 to 4 stars. It started off with, I've already given the summary, but it started off in one area and it veered off into another, and it kind of broke the story in half, so I did not give it 5 stars. Then I read This Scot of Mine by Sophie Jordan, and this will be out on March 26th. It was a really good read, part of a series, and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read is A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole, the first book in the Reluctant. I'm going to shut my door. My husband's home from the store. Okay, let's see. I was speaking of A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole, and this came out in 2018 in February, and it was the first book in the Reluctant Royal series, and I gave it 4 stars. And then I attempted to read The Promise by Katarina Diamond, and I'm going to give it 1 star because I did get to 35% of it. And because it was so hard to get into, I backed up and I reread part of it. I still couldn't get into it, so I went to Amazon, my library, and I got the first, second, and third book in the series thinking, oh, I just knock out the whole series so that by the time I'm done with the third book, I'll be able to get back into The Promise. But the first book is called The Teacher, and it was just so dark and so gruesome, I couldn't read it. So there's my second do not finish for February, so therefore it's another one on Goodreads. And then I read Redemption. Okay, by the way, those up until here was week 1 of February. From here on in is the second week of February. Now, I'm going to move on to Redemption of the Heart by Moni Boyce. It's a debut novel. It was really good. It came out on January 1st. I gave it 4 stars. Then I read A Duke by Default by Alyssa Cole, which is a second in the Reluctant Royal series. Another good book. Came out in July of 2018, and I gave that one 4.5 stars. Then I read Her Pretty Bones by Carla Kovac, and I believe I did Her Pretty Bones for a blog tour. No, not Her Pretty Bones. I take that back. But it was Her Pretty Bones by Carla Kovac. A very good read. It came out January 17th. I gave this one 4 stars. Then I read The Au Pair by Emma Rao. Let me tell you, I've had The Au Pair for at least 4 months, but I just have a lot of books, so I couldn't get to it. But my friend Elizabeth kept saying, Robin, you've got to read The Au Pair. You got to read The Au Pair. So I finally got it read. I loved it. It came out last year. Or the beginning of this year. I think it came out January 8th, but I gave it 5 stars. Then I read the beginning of a new series by Piper J. Drake, and it was the True Hero series. It is the True Hero series because it's an ongoing series. Now, Extreme Honor came out, let's see, I wrote down January 26th of 2019, but I believe it's January 26th, 2018. There are mistakes, and please forgive me. I gave this one 4 stars. The next book I read, and this is the one that was for a blog tour for Saturday the 16th, because I don't think this video is going to go up until Sunday at least, and that is Finding Grace by K.L. Slater. It's the 3rd book I read of hers this year, and it was a very good book. It was about a missing 9-year-old girl, and I gave that one 4 stars. Then I read the next book in that True Hero series by Piper J. Drake, and that is Ultimate Courage. Another good read, actually so good that I gave it 4.5 stars. Then I read 96 Words for Love because I saw it first at my library, and then I found out that April Sarah is going to be having a group discussion on it somewhere near the end of this month. So I read that. It wasn't my favorite book. It's by Rachel Roy and her daughter, and no, I do not have her daughter's name written down. Now, with this book, it's a YA coming-of-age book. I've already summarized it on my Friday Reads. Wasn't my favorite, so I gave it 3.5 stars. The next book in the True Hero series was Absolute Trust by Piper J. Drake. And Absolute Trust came out in July of 2018, and it was enjoyable, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read The Conspiracy by Kat Martin, another good, excellent read. I loved it, gave it 5 stars. The next book in the True Hero series, yes, I read all 5 of them in the last 2 weeks, and that's Piper J. Drake. I always want to say the author's name. And this came out in April of 2018, and I gave it 4 stars. The last book in that series, and actually I have the print book and the ebook, and that's Fierce Justice by Piper J. Drake. You can see clearly, it's a True Heroes novel. This was my favorite in the series. I did not give it 5 stars, but I did give it 4.5. So even though I gave another book in the series a 4.5, this one was my favorite. And then I read A Prince on Paper by Alyssa Cole. A Prince on Paper is the 3rd book in the Reluctant Royal series. I'm pretty sure there's another book coming out, but it's book number 3. It was pretty good. I gave it 4 stars. I was kind of thinking of 3.5. But I think I'm gonna settle with 4, but I haven't completed my review, so that could change. And at the end, the last book, and of course, last but not least, is Confidential by Ellie Monaco. Okay, 5 stars, hands down. No, I haven't written a review because I just finished it maybe 2 or 3 hours ago, and I've been pretty busy this morning. Now, Fashawn is the reason that I stuck Confidential in when I had already started Queen Sugar, because she's been talking about Confidential for about a week and a half now, and you got to read it, you got to read it, you got to read it. I need somebody to talk to about it. So I read it. I loved it. And I want to tell you that, and I have it right here in my notes, that Neighborly is a book that she wrote, Ellie Monaco wrote previously to Confidential. And I'm in the process of reading a book called The Girl Who Got Away. But I just got a call from Fashawn telling me to put that book down right now. And not even to make this video now, but to get to Neighborly and read it. So Neighborly is going to be next. But as far as closing this off, we're talking 29 books from February 1st to today, February 15th. And then when I do my wrap up on the 28th, we'll see what happens. That's it. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.